to my channel. So today I'm going to do my first update for the year's usage eyeshadow project pan. This was created by Sarah Katherine. I do have her channel linked in my description, and I did do an intro video back, I think at the end of January or sometime in January. So if you want to go see what this project is about, maybe check out that video. But basically I have been trying to go through some of my eyeshadows that were mostly neglected last year. That's sort of the focus that I wanted for this project, where you want to use every single shade in the eyeshadow palette 24 times or hit pan in that shade. So quite hefty numbers there. I also have 8 palettes in the project, so it's not like I'm just working on 2, which would have been a lot easier. I am struggling, I will say, with this project. I didn't know going into it how I was going to do, so it was definitely like shot in the dark, throw myself in the deep end sort of thing. Obviously, if you do this project for several years, then all of your total uses on an eyeshadow rolls over to the next year. But because I'm starting from scratch, I have to hit these shades 24 times or hit pan. But if I had used them 10 times last year, then I would only have to use them 14 more times this year, if that makes sense, because it does bump up every time the new year comes. And obviously we are in 2024, so it's 24 uses. Anyway, I do have a couple of updates to share with you. I will go through like quickly all of the palettes and what I've done with them, if I've used them or not. I think I've used every single palette except for one. And that means I've gone into at least one shade of one palette, at least in the last couple of months. But there is one palette that I haven't used at all, and maybe I should just roll it out. I'm not entirely sure, but let's get into it because I think it's going to be a quick update. I do need to figure out how to manage this project a little bit better. What I have been doing is rolling in 2 palettes from this list into my Shop My Stash for the month, but I'm still not seeing a lot of numbers towards these palettes because I'm just wanting to use other things, and I'm also putting other projects ahead of this one. So I kind of wanted to be relaxed with this as well, but I don't know, I would like to see a little bit more progress. So let's go through the list. I'll just go through the order that I wrote it down, which actually is the first one here is the one that I did not use at all, which is Natasha Denona, the Retro palette. I should have been able to use this, but I didn't use one shade once. So definitely before the next update, and I will try to update maybe every couple of months. There's no point me doing once a month. I might even do it quarterly, to be fair, because I don't want to come on here and not have any update for you. But this one I haven't used at all, so for the next update I have to make sure that I at least use it a little bit. All right, next up we have the Shadow Kiss from Ulta Ego. I did use one shade in this, which is called Shade, which is this one down here. I do like the mattes in this palette. I haven't been going into a lot of cool tone neutrals, and also when I should have used this palette, I was using the Gal on Jupiter because I was trying to do a 3 looks 1 palette with that back in January. I think it was back in January or the beginning of February, whenever that was posted, and this was neglected, and since then I just haven't really been going into a lot of cool tone neutrals. So this one probably is just not the right time of year for me to go into it. I'm much more into like getting like pops of color now that we're in spring, and it's just not a palette that I want to use for spring. So I'll probably go into it when I want to use 1 or 2 shades. I mean, the shimmers in here are actually really stunning, but definitely before the next update, this is another focus palette of mine where I'll try to roll it into a Shop My Stash at some point and really just like spend some time using at least a few shades just so I can get the numbers going, you know, because I want this project to be successful. All right, next up we have this Chilling in Chicago from BH Cosmetics. This one I haven't used too much, but I do have an update. I actually have hit pan. I did speak about this. I think I mentioned it at Shop My Stash and also spoke about it in my beauty bank last week. So let's just go through, because I did use a few other shades in this palette. The lighting's going to go a bit weird, so apologies, but I did use Windy City once. I used Grizzly once. I used Sky Deck once as well, so kind of went into like all of those neutrals. I used 312 once, and then I used Magnificent, which I hit pan on. I used only that once because I already had quite a significant dip in that. So because I've hit pan at Magnificent, now I don't need to use that 23 more extra times because I've hit pan. So at least that is a shade now that I could technically ignore if I wanted to. And I just need to focus on the rest of the shades in the palette. And honestly, I mean, BH Cosmetic formula is not the hardest to hit pan because the pan depth is not that large. And also they just have such a nice formula. It's quite easy to go into. So I just need to use this palette more. Obviously with the shades that already have a pan, I imagine I'm supposed to use them 24 times. I don't really know what the rules are, but this one I did use a little bit more than the other two. So there's a little bit more progress, but still not that many shades were used in total, but I did get a pan. So I'm still excited to see a little bit of movement. Next up is a palette, which I feel like I've used a lot just in my mind, but looking at the numbers, I haven't used it all that much, which is my Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. This is currently in my Shop My Stash. Is it in my Shop My Stash or was it last month? I don't even remember, but I have used Utopia. I went in that once. I used Haze twice, which I already have like quite a little bit of a dip, but I did use that twice because, you know, kind of wanted to keep going. It just worked with a look that I was also doing. And then I went into Supermoon once. I went into Vortex once. That was with my palette bingo that I posted last week. It was just randomly picked, so I'm glad that that happened. I also went into Hot Mess once. I went into Supernova once, Karma once, and also Gold Glitch once. So I did go into this one a few more times as well, like the Chilling in Chicago. Obviously didn't have any pans. Huda Beauty is harder to hit pan on, so they probably will take the 24 uses or just about to before I hit pan. So this is definitely in it for the long haul, and this is a really beautiful spring palette. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. I just need to go into it a little bit more, but I just have a lot of palettes that I'm working on. So, you know, I want to be still relaxed, but I still want to see the progress. So as long as I'm using the palettes, I think I'll be happy. I just need to use them a little bit more. Okay, next up is a palette that I do have a pan in, which I'm very excited about. It is my EBH Nouveau. I just spoke about this last week in my beauty bank that I thought I would have a pan in this palette, and I didn't, and I have hit pan now. So this one I haven't used a whole bunch, but I did go into Wings once. I went into a Lily once, which actually I realized I don't really like the shade Lily actually. I went into Paloma and I have hit pan. I went into that 4 times in the last few months. So not a huge amount, but I already had a significant dip. And also it's quite powdery. It's ABH formula. It's not actually that hard. I'm finding these to be not as deep as the other ones because obviously these are the wider pans. And yeah, I hit pan in that one. So super pleased that I have a pan in this. And then I also don't need to use this another 20 times because I've used it 4 times and I've hit pan. So now it's officially rolled out of this project, if that makes sense. I used Fleur twice and then I used Peacock once. So a few times in this palette. I think this one actually is in my Shop My Stash, maybe not the Huda Beauty. Yeah, I think Huda Beauty I was going to wait until the next time. So I think I've just been going into that naturally, but this one is currently in my Shop My Stash. So I am trying to do a little bit of a push on. I'm surprised I haven't gone into Wisteria, to be fair, because I think that is a beautiful shade. And honestly, I probably could have incorporated that into this look today, but I didn't. So I'm still happy that I'm getting some progress and honestly hitting pan without really like pushing myself. I just, you know, went into that. It was a very easy shade to go. It's obviously, you know, a skin tone shade for me. So it was just an easier one to be able to go into. And then we have the ABH Jackie Aina. And this one I have basically failed. I did roll this into my Shop My Stash back in, I think it was January or the beginning of February. I can't remember now, but I barely used it. I only used one shade, which was such a disappointment to me, but I used this shade Credit and I used that with another look. I was just trying to, I think that was actually for my Shop My Stash when I do a get ready with me. So it was on that video and then I didn't use this at all. And to be fair, I was kind of just wanting spring to happen. So I just didn't want to use these wintry tones and I haven't gone back into it, which is such a shame. I really do want to get more use out of this palette. So that one is a fail. And then we have another fail, which is the Colourpop California Love. This one I really massively neglected last year. I don't think I used it at all. So I was like, I want to use this. Let's roll it into this project. I've only gone into one shade, which is, which one? I went into this one, which is called, wait, is no. Nope, I did not. That's a lie. I went into, nope, that's a lie. I went into this one instead. So only the one use on this one. Again, I think I'm just struggling. I'm struggling. I don't know. Maybe give me some pointers on how to do this. It's a little bit trickier, but also I need the patience because it is a long haul project pan. It is. So, and things roll on to the next year because you're just not expected to use every shade 24 times. It is to be expected, but still I want more progress. The last one is the Nabla Dreamy palette. This one is another fail. I've only gone into 2 shades in here. I went into Sistina and I also went into a Lullaby. So I haven't even gone into any of the shimmers, which is surprising. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this and also rotate through my eyeshadows. Given the fact that I am doing pan those eyeshadows, I am doing Project Level Up and a pan that palette, it's just a little bit of a struggle, but I don't want to give up because I really do like this project and I like watching the updates and I have always wanted to try to do this and I just think it's hard. I just think it's going to be a hard one. I'm going to be in it for the long haul and what are you doing back there? I gotta close out this video because he obviously needs me. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any ideas on how I can like maybe filter through these and get a little bit more progress. That would be really great. But otherwise, hope everyone's well. Thank you so much and I'll see you next time. Bye.